seeing that movie is, I think, one of the reasons I wanted to move to London, because it was, you didn't see it from this scene, but it's quite swinging. It's like a weird mixture of a Hammer horror film and, swinging London, which is interesting.
Because it was by no means the most well received or well reviewed of all of them. But
No,
what was it about
it? Well, it was just that combination of 60s, 70s London and a Hammer horror film, and because there's an early scene where you cut from, like, I don't know, 1569 or whatever, and then it pans up into the sky, and it cuts to rock music and a jet airplane. So there's a weird juxtaposition of things, and as you can see, and hopefully you probably see by the end of this, you feel lucky that you're not on the desert island with me. So I was lucky enough to there's a theater in Burbank where I grew up what would show like triple features for like 50 cents. You'd see 3 different movies for 50 cents, and I think it was on one of those bills, and so I would go quite often. A lot of these films would be, I would go quite often, several times a week, and see the same movie.
And what was the first movie you saw Christopher Lee in? Because you mentioned that you worked with him.
Well, probably the first horror of Dracula, and then from then on, I'd watch all of them. I remember when I first met him, he walked into the Dorchester Hotel in London, and he sat there and talked for like 3 hours, and it was like, it went by like that, because it was like you were being hypnotized by Dracula. He is Dracula. And just that stare, and he still has that, and it's amazing. So he like Vincent Price, is somebody who I really, really, grew up admiring and watching their films, and was lucky enough to meet.
Why do you think it is that films like Dracula AD 1972 and the films of Ed Wood, for instance, stay with people all their lives? What resonates?
Well, I grew up on these kind of movies. So like, I realized, when I was younger, like a teenager, I went to the Grauman's Chinese Theater, and they had every like Academy Award winning movie since the history of the Academy Awards. And I realized, well, I've never seen that one. I'd never seen any of those movies. I really wouldn't know a good movie if it bit me in the face up to a certain point. So these kinds of films were the ones, though, there's something that kind of harkened back to when you read a weird kind of pulpy or fairy tale or folk tale. They've got rough edges around them, they're kind of weird, and something primal about them. And I think a lot of these movies, for me, they kind of tapped into some of their flaws are actually part of their strengths. And I don't know, I found them to be more powerful to me than certain like Academy Award winning types of films.